What would you say if I told you you're a fucking liar and you're destroying your relationships? Yes, I know you love it when I piss you off like that. But what if I told you it's true? And what if I proved it to you by asking you two questions? First question is it's two questions tied together, but first question is this: what percentage of the time do you speak the truth in your relationships? Specifically, not just on the big stuff, but especially on the small stuff. What percentage of the time do you specifically call out your partner? And it can be friends, it can be a work relationship, it can be your family relationships, but let's focus on the lover one. What percentage of the time do you call out your lover on their shit? When they've done something fucked up, or when they've let you down, or when they've done something bad. You didn't show up for fucking Thanksgiving with my family. Well, that's kind of a big thing. But what about, you never let me finish my fucking sentences, or you're always angry. You're always like on edge or something. And it's really ripping at the fabric of our relationship. Or, you don't pitch in enough. What percentage of the time do you call out your partner on their shit? And what's with that on this first set of questions is, what percentage do you also speak your truth of what you do right? Wait, but I do this, this, and this. I stand up for this relationship. I'm working at this and this. And what percentage of the time are you calling out your partner on your shit? And what percentage of the time are you speaking your truth about what you're doing right? See, if you have a reluctance to do that, so the percentage of the time, if you're only doing it 40% of the time, or even if you're only doing it 60% of the time, what that says is somewhere inside of you, you are afraid of speaking the truth. You are afraid of backlash. You're afraid that if you stand up, if you rock the boat, if you speak the truth, you're afraid they might leave. But there's something even more important than speaking the truth in your relationship, calling out your partner or saying what's going on and standing up for the truth. You want to know what's even more important than that and more critical and more likely to prove that you're a fucking liar in your relationship? Potentially. What percentage of the time, not just do you speak the truth, what percentage of the time do you say how you feel? An actual feeling word. I feel angry, or that hurt my feelings. I'm feeling sad right now. What percentage of the time do you actually say how you feel? Because I got plenty of guys, and it's not just guys, it's women too. I got plenty of guys, that I work with, that I counsel, who say, I do everything. I do this, and this. Yeah, but you're a fucking liar because you don't actually say how you feel. You're doing the lie of omitting. You're doing the lie of leaving out the truth of how this person is making you feeling. When you do this, I feel this. So it's really two things. Are you speaking the truths of what really happened or what this person really did? Or in the small and the mundane, especially in the small and the mundane? Or do you have the courage to speak the truth? And do you have the courage to say how you actually feel when they do this? Or how you actually feel when they let you down? How you actually feel? To what degree, what percentage of the time are you actually honest in your relationship about the truth of what's happening and honest about what you actually fucking feel? Because you're not fully committed to a relationship unless you have the courage to be vulnerable, unless you have the courage to say how you feel. It's just a fucking lie. And you're terrified to do it. If you're not doing it, sharing how you feel, you're terrified to do it because you're afraid of backlash, or you're afraid they'll leave you, afraid you'll get fired from the relationship. And your fear is causing you to be inauthentic in that relationship. You are just being something that you think you got to be in order to keep them. That is not the basis of a healthy, a good, or a long-lasting relationship. It's just the basis of somebody won't leave you, and you're terrified they'll leave, because if they leave, then you're left alone with your feelings, your old feelings that go all the way back and say, see, I'm no good, no one wants to be with me. So you'll hang on to someone, or I'm getting old and gee, I may not be able to find someone. So you'll hang on to someone for fear of being alone, and you'll allow them to hurt your feelings, and you'll allow them to do all these things, and you'll live in a relationship where what you feel doesn't matter because you don't make it matter. You'll do all of that because you're so terrified of being alone. Think about it. Do you tell your kid every single time you pay for something, do you know how much that dentist bill just cost me, son? Or, young lady, are you aware of how much I have to pay for your flute lessons? Or, band camp, that cost, $450. Or do you tell your children every time you pay for them? Do you tell them? And for what reason do you do it? See, I've seen the effects of parents constantly telling their kids how much they cost them. And one of the effects is that the child grows to hate money. Why? Because it gets thrown back in their face. Another effect is that the child begins to grow really insecure about feeling like they can ever manage their own life, because it's always being put in their face of how incompetent they are. And this starts at a young age. This isn't just when the kid is in college, but by the time college and later years, the adult child begins to feel just fucking anxiety, massive anxiety regarding money or regarding their own self. And so it raises the question, why the fuck are you doing it? And has it occurred to you that it's not going to have a positive effect? Are you doing it because you're trying to make that child express gratitude for you, that you're so fucking shallow and have such a frail ego that you need everything to have gratitude back for you? And I'm not saying a child shouldn't have gratitude, but if you're constantly throwing in your child's face how much they cost you and you're doing it because you need gratitude, that's a mark of a fucking frail human being. Or are you doing it because you're bitter? Are you making your child know how much they cost because you're bitter, that they're eating up your money, taking away from your own life? Now, are there ages when a kid should be able to do it on their own? Yeah, and they still might need some help along the way, but constantly throwing it in the child's face of how much of a fucking burden they are to you, yeah, that doesn't have good results. Or are you doing it so that you can control your child, so that they'll feel a sense of indebtedness, so that you can use it to manipulate them? Hey, I'm paying for everything. You know, you owe me. I'm paying for everything. And so the adult child eventually can't make their own decisions because they're so used to doing whatever you expect them to do because they assume they have to because, hey, you're paying for it. Has it occurred to you that the idea of throwing shit in your child's face every time you fucking pay for them may not be the best parenting strategy? Have a kick ass. I gotta know, is he cheating? Is he cheating? It's driving me crazy. I gotta know. Or, Sven, she's acting totally different. What the fuck? I'm convinced she's cheating, but how do I know, Sven? If there's one question that I have seen rip more people's guts out inside than almost anything else, it's the question of, are they cheating? I've seen people spend literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on forensic accountants, private investigators, depositions, fucking all manner of shit. I've seen people's guts churn and churn for months upon years in some cases. I've seen people's health go to shit, obsessed with the question, are they cheating or did they cheat? But you want to know what's interesting about that question? There's a totally unrelated question that goes lockstep with that question. Seems unrelated. I had a woman just reach out to me yesterday and say to me, Sven, seemingly a young woman, probably in her 20s, you know, I've been with this guy, we've been living together, and he's, you know, not paying his share of the bills, and he claims that he doesn't have enough money, but I know how much money he makes, and I don't know where it's going. And I had to say, he's probably freeloading on you. You know, he's just fucking taking advantage of you. And you think, well, what the hell does that have to do with cheating, right? Two seemingly unrelated things. What they have in common is what so much of life has in common, that you're listening to their words even though your gut is saying something else. Something feels off, or there are enough facts accrued that you're like, what the fuck? You're fucking cheating on me, or you're mooching off me, or you're fucking lying to me about the money, or whatever it is. You're listening to their mouth rather than trusting your own inner gut. And the bad thing about this is this isn't unique to this situation. It's because you've been conditioned since childhood to distrust your own voice. This is one of the fundamental questions of life. And it's not, you're trying to answer it from the perspective of what's the truth. And so, like I said, people spend all manner of time and energy trying to figure out what's the absolute truth. And I got news for you. In all likelihood, they're never going to admit it. If they're cheating, if they're fucking you over, if they're manipulating you, if they're stealing the money somehow, they're not going to fucking admit it. So it's really not a question of what the truth is per se. The question is really this: what voice are you willing to fail on? In other words, whose voice are you willing to bank on? And you've been so conditioned to listen to everybody else's voice and distrust your own inner voice. But at some point in life, we realize I would rather die on my own voice than trust this, because this feels like absolute shit. And you listen to people in their 40s and 50s, and you ask them, and they'll say, I wish I'd gotten out a hell of a lot sooner and trusted my own voice. So where are you in this equation? Who are you trusting when you should be trusting yourself? Have a kick-ass day. What percentage of the time do you spend caught up in drinking, in drugs, in staying busy, and overworking, overparenting, getting all caught up excessively in your relationships or in your religion? What percentage of the time do you spend running from the simple fact that you don't want to sit still because you can't sit. You literally can't sit still. And the reason you can't is because you don't want to. Because when you sit still, you start to think. Yes, that's Torsten tearing up the lawn. You start to think. And then your brain starts to go with all of those thoughts about all of those memories. And what accompanies them is the feelings. What accompanies them is the feelings and the anxiety and the fear and the pain and the sadness that comes with it. You hate to sit and think because you can't stand the feelings that happen when you do. And so you stay busy, you overwork, you surround yourself with chaos, you drink excessively, you do drugs, whatever it is, you engage in so much of life because you're running from your fucking feelings. You can't bear to sit in your feelings. So has it occurred to you that the solution to your life is to get out all of those memories and to decharge them of the emotional charges that they carry? Has it occurred to you that the more you get that out, the more you'll be able to sit and you'll have all those memories, but they won't be emotionally charged. You'll have those thoughts, but they won't be emotionally charged. You will no longer be afraid of being alone with your thoughts. You'll no longer be able to be agitated. You'll be able to simply sit and to be calm and to be okay, rather than spending your whole life running from the thoughts and the feelings. At what point do you stop running and address it and sit in it and allow it all to finally come out? And if you want help with that, get my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. It'll step you through exactly what the fuck to do. Or if you don't want to pay any fucking money, just do my 500 TikToks that I've made and do the journaling and these questions that I ask. Go into it and journal about it and about the thoughts and about the feelings and start getting more and more and more of this stuff out so that you're not spending your life running from simply sitting and thinking, running from the anxiety that sitting and being still causes you. Are you ready? Have a kick-ass day.